Well, today we have here Milena Cerin, all the way from
Slovenia.
Slovenia. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So welcome to be part of the series,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I've gotten the chance to get to know you more on a personal level. Like we're friends,
Yeah.
and uh, you actually had me on your podcast as a
Mm-hmm.
guest, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, I thoroughly enjoyed that interview. I thought it was. I've been through a lot of interviews myself, and I found that I really enjoyed being interviewed by you.
Oh,
You made it very comfortable, and um, yeah. So anyway, so that's how we're starting.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
So, Milena, for people that watching this, can you? I know your story, so I'd like to invite you to share with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you do now is you're a coach, and you're
Yes.
a business coach, and you're a
Yeah.
life coach, and you help people who are mostly entrepreneurs or solopreneurs that don't really have a lot of staff. And can you just share with everyone, how did you get to do that? What was the thing that inspired you to become a coach?
All right. So, it's kind of like a life journey, because I was growing up doing personal development work on myself.
Hmm.
I started reading psychology book when I was about 12 years old. Spirituality, personal development, that was always my field. And in Slovenia, where I'm originally from, as I mentioned, I was already working with adults there
Hmm.
and designing classes for them. And so when I came here, I was looking into ways that I could do similar work and help adults living better lives, quality lives, happier lives. I just felt this is my mission to do so.
Hmm.
And so I was looking for the ways how to do that here, and life coaching was kind of an option that I thought, wow, that's appealing. And I have a personal story. I will not go into the details today, but it was pretty difficult story and hardships that I overcame when I came to Canada. And I think that pushed me even more into this. You know what? People need to be happy. I don't want anybody to suffer as I did.
Hmm.
So then I discovered neurolinguistic programming. And that was like, wow, that started a whole new chapter of my life. And so I'm working with timeline therapy today with my clients mainly. I do other NLP stuff as well, but timeline work, wow, it's that massively important because the way I help clients is in a matter of minutes,
Hmm.
we shift their limiting beliefs or emotions. So if previously they thought they can't do something, now they can. If they didn't have confidence, now they have it.
Hmm.
Like literally, the life path changes for them. And so this is one of those exciting things that I work with. And I would say it goes beyond life coaching.
Hmm.
I don't even call myself a life coach anymore because it's so much more, right?
Hmm.
And it's of course also business strategies for business owners and so, but it's kind of like guidance for entire life.
Hmm. So, for those who've never heard of timeline, because I'm sure, because I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't heard of timeline
Okay.
until I you mentioned it,
Yeah.
and then I did that with you, so I know personally now what that's like. But can you explain for those
Mm-hmm.
who don't never never heard of it? Well, what is timeline? How is that going to change? Like, yeah, right, in just a few seconds, and it actually does work. For those who may be doubting this, um, can you just give a bit of insight on how it actually
Yeah.
works? What exactly happens?
So what I like about timeline
Hmm.
is that the therapist is not suggesting anything to you like in hypnotherapy,
Hmm.
right? In hypnotherapy, there could be suggestions. That's not the fact in timeline.
Hmm.
In timeline, what we do is we go back on an unconscious level. That's all working on unconscious level. So
Hmm.
you don't need to remember any bad memories. You don't need to remember events. You don't need nothing needs to be remembered on conscious level.
Hmm.
Let's say I say, okay, let's release fear today or anxiety or whatever it is. But let's say we're working with certain fear. So I ask your unconscious mind, when was the first time you developed fear? And your unconscious mind guides you uh, back into your timeline. Let's say when you were 2. Let's say it takes you to that time. It could
Hmm.
be previous lifetime, or it could be this lifetime when you were 2 years old and that was the first time you felt fear.
Hmm.
You don't need to remember what the event was. That's the most beautiful thing. You literally just see the timeline in your unconscious mind because you have your eyes closed, you go to that event, you collect positive learnings from that event, you release the fear, and you come back, and that fear is gone.
Mm.
but the positive learnings that you got, so suggestions of your subconscious mind, not my suggestions, those are now the new learnings, the new ways you're going to show up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's life changing. I've done lots of work on myself and other NLP practitioners on me as well. I'm telling you, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's so big, so big.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. I remember at one time I was doing my event, and I had an assistant that was helping me with events. You know, he was with me for a year at that time already. He saw me at every event. He saw me speak. And before that event, I went on Timeline just a day or two before the event, and I released something. I cannot remember what it was. I released it. So I honestly don't remember what I released. But I remember.
You really released it.
I really did. Because I
gone.
can't even remember what it was. Okay. So, and I go, I'm on stage, right? I'm talking, and I feel so empowered, so, you know, upbeat. I mean, I've always been kind of that way, but this time it was like, wow, magnified, right? Mm-hmm. And he says to me after the way, he said, what happened? I mean, you were so much different, so much better. And I said, to be honest, I don't know. I released something, but I don't remember what. But since that time, my events have been in that kind of energy. I just, something left, and I'm now a different speaker, you know?
So it totally transformed you. Because I think that's what that's your business, is in the business of transforming people from either it's a stuck mode or feel sorry for myself mode, and you transform them into a new person where that gets left behind. So now they can just move forward to whatever they want to move forward to, right? So for those people who have never heard of this, I don't know what you call it, this exercise, or what do you call it? Is it a system? Is it a...
My system?
No, a timeline. What do you call that?
It's timeline.
Timeline therapy. Okay, so for those people,
therapy.
I just want people to know that it doesn't have to be impersonal like you do hypnotherapy or whatever. It actually can be done online, because that's how I did it with you. Even though we live in the same geographical area, we did this online live. So it doesn't matter where you live in the world. You don't have to go, oh, I would have to fly in, or you would have to fly there. So it makes it very affordable, but it also makes it very accessible.
Absolutely, because we do it through Skype or FaceTime, anywhere where there's camera, right? I need to see your face when I'm working with you, so I can see any signals that you're giving me, so I know where on the timeline are you right now. And that's it. Location is not important.
You also offer courses.
I do.
Yeah, what are your courses? Can you share?
Yeah, so I have several courses. One of them is designed specifically for business people. It's called Unconscious Influence. You've attended actually that one?
Yes, I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed that program. It was a very, very good workshop.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that one is because what we learned there is how we are influencing people and how we can do this in a positive way. So we encourage them to do the positive things, right? I never want to misuse any of these techniques, because it's, first of all, it's not ethical. It's going to backfire on you anyways. You know, misuse is not allowed at all. That's why everybody signs that statement in the beginning, right? The code of ethics, to make sure that everybody is using it for the right purposes and to benefit others as well.
If I can add something to that, is I personally believe in that. I think you've heard me say this before, where we're influencing people all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. So with the workshop that you offer, the program that you offer, you have the opportunity to understand how you're doing this, so that now you can be conscious about it, like you said, you know, so you be conscious about it and put it to the greater good, and not for negative use, I guess.
That's right. And we also use the neurolinguistic programming language in this workshop, which people are not used to. I mean, they're not using it because they don't know of it. And I know when I was first faced with neurolinguistic programming language, I thought, oh my gosh, I will never learn this. It's so much. But you do actually. And actually, once you start studying these things, it kind of just sinks into your unconscious level, and you just get it, and you're using that language, and you're a lot bigger influencer than you would be without it.
Now, can I backtrack here a little bit, because I asked you earlier, how did you get to be a business coach? And you said, oh, we're not going to get into all that, but Are you willing to share your story? Because I've heard you share this story before more than once.
Yes.
Over one of your darkest times when you were driving and you had your kids. And do you mind sharing that story?
All right.
Just because I want people that are watching or listening to this to know that it's not. A lot of people are under the impression, especially if people are just starting out in their business, or if they've already been in business and just kind of feel like they're just not getting anywhere. They're getting, they're hitting roadblocks constantly. I just want to make it, I know everybody knows this, but it can't be reinforced enough that it doesn't matter how successful you see someone, they've been through really tough times. And I think it's important for people to know the tough times of the people I bring into my show, because I bring these successful guests, and it's good to know what is the flip side to that story, because every success story has the other side. So please share that.
All right. Okay.
And the turning point.
The turning point. I'll share everything. Okay. So I was married the first time for 11 years. It was an abusive marriage. Got out after 11 years, which was really tough because, I was living in Slovenia at the time, born and raised in Catholic family. I was a Catholic theologian. That's my background. Working in the church at the time. And I don't know if you know, but Catholic Church doesn't approve of divorce, right? There's no divorce. And so I thought I'm stuck. But, 11 years of having it really difficult, and my body was kind of failing. I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore, and it's not good for my children. So I left, and against all the odds, kept my job. Actually started publishing in leading Catholic magazines after about divorce, about annulments, about stuff like this in international charity organization Caritas. In their Gazette, I was talking about domestic abuse. So I was writing about it. So my life actually took off. And then 2 years later, I met this Canadian guy. We got married. I came to Canada with my kids. It was a bit tough decision because I had a good job there. But, you fall in love and you're like, oh, yeah, let's do this, right? So I came here. And after 2 years, my life completely turned around. Now, imagine this. I had a good career in Slovenia. People got to know me. They started recognizing my name and I left that to come here. And now here I am. Nobody knows me. I was stay-at-home mom for 2 years because I had my 2 kids from previous marriage and then his 2 children when their mom died. So I had now 4 kids to take care of. So I was stay-at-home mom. And my son was 6 at the time when this happened. When overnight my husband comes, you know what? I applied for divorce. Find a lawyer. Done.
Just like that, just out of the blue.
Yeah, and I knew for about 6 months that there was something wrong, that he was more upset than he was before. So things were not as smooth as they were. And I totally dismissed warning signs, totally.
Yeah, so can I interrupt for a second? Because you said he was abusive.
Well, so here's the thing. We had a beautiful first year, right? Whenever I went along with him, as soon as I did something on my own, I remember our first anniversary, I didn't like the steak we were having because I don't like steaks, but he said, try the steak, gotta try the steak. So I had that steak, and he totally flipped because I said, you know what, I really don't like it. I mean, and it was just, because the steak wasn't good. So the things like this started happening, that suddenly some little things would set him off. So I knew something's wrong, but I was kind of, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I sold my place in Slovenia. I had no job anymore. I brought all the money here. So, I mean, I kind of believed in this marriage. I couldn't just let it go now and just say, okay, it's done, whatever. So when I got that notice, right, kind of overnight, it was shocking. But the real nightmare actually started that time. Because the next day I figured out that long distance calls are canceled. I couldn't even call my family to let them know what's happening. Then my credit card and bank cards were canceled. Now I had no money. Then
so you weren't working while you were with them?
No, I was stay-at-home mom at the time, right? Now I have no access to money. Then my laptop disappeared. I was just published 2 articles, one in Canada, one in Slovenia, and I had articles on that laptop. It disappeared. Then one day, me and my kids come home, and the house was locked, and there was just paper on the door and entered through the basement. That's the only place he didn't change the lock. So I could enter through the basement. There were a few of our clothes on the floor, some old food in the fridge. I was like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter was 13 at the time, my son was 6. Explain to a 6-year-old boy what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what was a heartbreaking? His daughters now couldn't talk to us anymore because he wouldn't allow them. So they lived on the main floor.
So you had children from a previous
Yes,
marriage?
2 daughters, right?
Okay.
And they were living upstairs, and in the basement there was nothing. It was the basement was literally empty. We were renting it out previously,
Mm-hmm.
so all our stuff was still out there. My passports, documents, everything's upstairs, right? We just have a few of our clothes there.
Mm-hmm.
My son couldn't talk to them, and I remember one day he said, and I'm not going to mention the name of the girls, but he said that he'd like to talk to sister, to his daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he calls her. I mean, this is going to make me cry. This is probably one of those moments when you realize how hurtful this is for children. 6-year-old boy, he calls her. Can you come and see me? Can you come and see me? And she never showed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you explain this to a 6-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that was one of those heartbreaking moments. It still make me cry just
Mm-hmm.
thinking of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so after that, what happened? We were threatened every day. It was not safe being there.
Mm-hmm.
So we already had a place in a safe house, and you know, for abused women and children. But I didn't want to go. I didn't want to give my kids experience of being in a shelter, right? So yeah. So I remember one day, I'm driving over the bridge with my 2 kids over the Fraser River. I think I actually can't remember, but I guess it was Fraser River. And this thought goes through my mind: if I only turn the wheel, we all die and nobody suffers anymore. And I was shocked because, you know, that's kind of not the way I think usually. But where does this thought come from? So I went home and I went in the bedroom, closed the door, and I cried and I was pounding with my fist on the bed. And I said, God, if you want to take this, you take it, because I can't do this anymore. And when I did this, I felt the weight lifted off of my shoulders, like literally, it disappeared. I'm like, what's that? And I felt
You
peace in
took it
my heart.
off of yourself.
It totally disappeared. And it was total peace in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, no more tears. And that's when I knew we were going to be okay. And actually, I went out of the bedroom the next moment. I said, kids, let's go for a walk. So we went for a walk. We had fun that day. And it still took a few months. You know, we got a really nice place with friends in their house. They rented it out for a small amount of money. I got my first job then and stuff like that. So things progressed, you know, getting better and better. But yeah, that was the experience. I mean, I lost everything. The money that I brought with me to Canada was gone by that time. Everything was gone. He transferred actually all the money. Also, it was on joint bank accounts to who knows what secret bank account. It was, everything was gone.
It cleaned you out.
Yeah. So, you know, you start from, I got some money at the divorce settlement then, but you know what?
Still takes a while.
It was not, it was enough to start life, but not even to buy a home. There was no way I could buy a home with that money. I could buy a car though. So no way that, you know, we could now live in, I don't know what kind of abundance, actually for a while, because I was working only 4 hours, or 16 hours a week. I made $1,000 a month. I didn't even take them for ice cream, my kids. If they would want ice cream, I would say, you know what, not today, maybe next time. So today when, you know, my son or daughter says, can we have ice cream? I'm like, yeah, let's have ice cream. It's like the sign of abundance.
Because you started, you at one point had a job, correct? And then you left that job to go like totally full entrepreneurship.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know how long it took you because you said to do that jump. Can you share that?
Yeah, that was very sudden. So I worked, that was my second job here in Canada. I worked as an administrative assistant, and I suffered.
You didn't like it.
I am not a detail-oriented person. I'm a visionary, right? It was tough, and I know I was making mistakes. Again, I was making, you know, $1,200 per month, and I was like, and one day, I'm like, why am I wasting my life? I should be doing what I love doing. And at that time, luckily, I knew I was
here's
already,
a key point.
Yeah.
You asked yourself a very important question. Why am I wasting my life? And I should be doing what I love doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is key, asking yourself these questions.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
So anyways, I was already coaching part-time at that time, right? I already had my NLP certification, and so, but my business, I just didn't have the strategies. I never started another business before, so I didn't know how to do it. So I knew I need a mentor, I need a coach to get me started. And luckily, I found Colin Sprague, right? So I attended one of his events. He totally pulled me in. I signed up for his programs. And we talked with Colin about a month later after that. And he said, I'd really love to work with you. He said, I really support what you're doing. And I was like, wow. And that was it. And I said, yes. I said, Colin, if you can guarantee me that I'm going to get my money back, because you know how I'm risking, right? This wasn't cheap, right? He said, you will. And I did. I made more than that in that next year. And since then, my coaching was, really successful. But I had the strategies now. And that's what he gave me, right? I did the work, but if you without his strategies, somebody has to show you what you're doing if you have no experience.
Well, you've done well.
Thank
You've
you.
done very well.
Yeah, but sorry, just to answer that question, in December, 2 weeks before, in the middle of December, I left that job, okay? And I said, I'm just going to start doing my business full time. I was making zero money at that time from my coaching, and I was leaving a job, okay? And for 2 months, there was no income coming in. But I just knew it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm doing my work. And then in the end of February, finally sold my first workshop. And then, clients, started one-on-one clients and more programs. So,
and now you are where you are.
I am where I am.
Yes, which is fantastic. Because I remember the first time I saw you speak was one of your evening events.
Yes.
And I was very impressed with what you were doing. So I thought, yeah, she's onto something. Like, you could see, very, very good. A lot of value and very helpful information.
Yeah. Well, once you go through stuff in life, you have experience, you have the knowledge, and then you can pass on to others.
I feel like that's our responsibility. I think it would be selfish not to pass it on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all go in life. We go through these stages when it's really hard, and then you nailed it, and you know what you're doing, and now you can pass that on. Right? I mean, we are a community. I think
exactly.
All
we're all related, whether we like it or not. We are. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being my guest.
You're most welcome.
And for giving us your insights and sharing your experience, because it has been quite the journey for you. And at one point, some of the pain came back, sharing the story on how you explained to a little boy, why this is happening. So thank you for being totally open with sharing that information, and thanks again.
You're most welcome. It was a pleasure being here with you today. Thank you.
My pleasure to have you here.